Welcome to the podcast. It's the best podcast in the world. This is going to end up on the show. I know it, motherfucker.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode 116 of Epitome of Stupidity, your favorite allegedly metal podcast. Today's tunage is brought to us by the self-proclaimed most punctual band in Louisville, Kentucky, one Shi. I think I'm pronouncing it right. They use the Japanese symbol for it as well. We're going to find out later fucking on, though. The song is Pure Disgust, which is also I guess it would be the title track off of the newest album of theirs that just released on the 15th. And surprise, it's fucking good. Man, there's some tasty riffs. Anyway, more on them here soon. Until then, how about this?
Sonic Temple Art and Music Festival, the pinnacle of rock festivals in America, returns in 2025 with Linkin Park, Korn, 2 nights of Metallica, no repeat weekend, plus Bad Omens, Incubus, Alice in Chains, Rob Zombie, 3 Days Grace, Alice Cooper, I Prevail, Jimmy Eat World, Chevelle, Motionless in White, and so many more. May 8th to the 11th at Historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, Ohio. Passes on sale now at sonictemplefestival.com.
Yeah, baby, some Sonic Temple goodness. Quick anecdote. Last time Metallica were supposed to play Sonic Temple, they were going to do the double headlining thing. It was 2020, and I got my kids tickets for Christmas. I told them that their present was going to be something really heavy. So I got a big empty box. I put a bunch of fucking dumbbells and random tools and shit in it so that it'd be heavy and clanky and stupid. And then I also printed out some of the tickets. So then come Christmas Day, they open this big weird fucking box that they both have to help each other move. And there's the tickets and a bunch of random shit. It's going to be heavy. You get the point. And then, of course, 2020 happened. And what I'm saying is, get somebody some fucking Sonic Temple tickets for Christmas. It'll be fun. And then, barring another fucking pandemic, but let's not even say that out loud. Anyways, get somebody some Sonic Temple tickets for Christmas and tell them Epitome of Stupidity sent you. Nobody will give a shit, but it's fun to say. Anyways, if you're new here, welcome in. I'm Clint. I'll be your host. If you're not new here and you think I sound a little different than usual, you should maybe lower the dosage or maybe increase your mead dosage. Let's do that one. You can do so by going to brimminghornmeadery.com and picking out some fine-ass award-winning mead. Then at checkout, use code EPITOMEAD, that's EPITOMEAD, and you'll get a 10% discount. Just like that, your new prescription from Dr. Clint, courtesy of the Brimming Horn dude, will be on its way. So the outline here says that this is where I tell you about what I've been listening to, of which there's been a lot of some little band called Clutch. Perhaps you've heard of them. There's also been a lot of Left Lane Cruiser, and I made it back to that Thou Umbilical album recently as well. I feel like I've said that a lot this year. It's probably going to come the top 5 albums of the year list, huh? Another fun note, one of those 2 bands should be the next and likely last guest for the year, as long as everything goes according to plan. And when doesn't things go according to plan? Right? Right. Before all that, though, let's have some quick Clint notes about today's guest, Shi. Formed at, again, I think it's going to be the first question is to figure out if I'm saying that right or not. Formed as a trio in 2015, but have been a quartet since 2018. Their form of stoner doom seems to get more riffy and abrasive with each fucking release, and they'll get no notes from me about it because they're doing a damn fine job. Let's maybe have a better conversation with them about it. Maybe one singer or guitarist Bael of the band. Yeah, maybe. Here's some punctual Kentucky phone sounds according to my notes. So beep, 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 ring. And he answered. On the line with me today is Bael of... You know what? I should skip to the first question here. How the fuck do I say this out loud?
Man, what a good question. That's the key one. Yeah, so it sounds like she, right? Like the word she. So
I've been nailing it all along.
Good, man. We've gotten a lot of different. I mean, the usual one we get is shy. Shy is an easy one. You know, if you see that I, you're like, oh, it's a different word, a long I. Nope, it's she. And it would be I don't know what the right word for it would be, but like sometimes you go into the Metal Archives pages, right? And you're like, is this bullshit? Is this not? But like the people that are on Metal Archives are pretty fucking big nerds, myself included. And so like I'm like, how the fuck did you like find that specific thing? But they specify in there, they're just like, the name is, the Romanized iteration of the Japanese word or kanji for Shi, which means death. And then there's this added blurb from an interaction we had forever ago. And I was like, that's hysterical that made it into this Metal Archives page where it's like in, Mandarin Chinese, it's also this other thing. And I'm like, I mean, I guess that is true, but that has nothing to do with us. But
Right.
it was this like long thread forever ago where someone was like, well, actually your name would be pronounced say. And I'm like, well, like it's not though. So
Every time this is a completely useless fucking anecdote that I'll probably end up having to edit out. But every time somebody that does the well actually thing, my back to a stand-up that is one of my absolute fucking favorites, and I'm not going to be able to remember the dude's name now. I think the title, the name of the album or whatever it would be called is Sleepwalk with Me. Mike Birbiglia.
Yeah.
He's talking, he goes through this whole thing and he says something about how he fell asleep and he sleepwalks and he jumped through a fucking window and he was like the Hulk, and somebody says, well, actually you'd be more like Bruce Banner, and he's like all out of breath and panting and everything. He says, thanks, nerd. And keeps going about how he's bleeding and everything. It cracks me up, man.
I have to be at least somewhat okay again to the nerd point, as a bunch of nerds ourselves. If someone's going to well actually us, generally I'm like, all right, like let's hear you out. You're probably right. In this case, they weren't. But yes, no, to answer your question succinctly, yeah, it would be Shi.
She got it.
Yeah.
So where are you calling from today?
Louisville, Kentucky.
All right. So right there off the bat, you've said it Louisville, where I've got a follow up in here to actually ask how it's pronounced so that I can run through the Louisville, or the big just combo syllable Louisville.
Louisville. Yeah, you kind of pour it out of your mouth. You just kind of dump the whole thing. Just Louisville. The tourism board here got real smart and they made that shirt that has all the different phonetic ways to say it. Like you said, Louisville and Louisville or Louisville, which is as wrong as it gets. Definitely not Louisville. But yeah, it's like you'll hear people here even saying it in different ways at different times. It's just kind of whatever you're feeling at the moment. I would say the easiest and most common is just kind of that Louisville, right? Louisville. But you don't have to really overpronounce any of the pieces of the phonetics there. I've heard some people really put emphasis on the Louisville or Louisville. But it's like, just Louisville. It's fine.
I like I even wrote it down. Pour it out of your mouth. Like,
pour it out.
It sounds like something that should just kind of fall out drunk.
Yeah. It's rattling around in there and just whoop. There's the name. It's right here.
Louisville. There it is. What have you been listening to lately?
Ooh, man, what have I been listening to? I'd have to let me pull up my last. Let me see if I can't pull it out of my mind. I've been listening to a lot of our friends, bands recently. Guys from your neck of the woods, Weed Demon, just was spinning.
Hi, Jordan.
Yeah, shout out to Jordan. I gotta give him a call here in a little bit, actually. So we didn't listen to them. Our friends in Crop from Lexington, Kentucky. Those dudes have been longtime friends of ours. Storm Toker, also from Lexington. These guys, Bazooka Tooth from Nashville, as well as from Nashville. Our friends in Howling Giant. Their new record from last year, Glass Future, was like one of my two most spun records of the year, followed by our Evansville friends in Fairy Ring. Their album Weary Traveler has been in like near constant rotation. And then I've been getting excited. Our friends from Pittsburgh in Star Viper are putting out a vinyl EP with a combination of 2 singles they've put out digitally and then some live songs that they did in Mind Rocket Studios. So yeah, I've really just been spinning a lot of friends bands these last few days. That's the long and short.
Yeah, man, nice. It's the names of some of these things. Today has been just a wealth of weird fucking names. There's a bunch of things that you listed off there, and then there's some of the things there in the background of your room there. Today, I've just, and then earlier, it started with seeing that Shania Twain Saw Massacre
Oh,
is opening for the St. Pierre Snake Invasion somewhere coming up, and it's today's just been a wealth of wonderful fucking
the
names.
Shania Twain Saw Massacre.
How great is that?
That is a killer name. Oh my god, I'm adding that to the Googling right now just so I can make sure I circle back to it. Shania Twain Saw Massacre.
Right, and like completely overlooked in that is that they're opening for the St. Pierre Snake Invasion, which is not a fucking normal thing to start with.
Snake Invasion. There, Jesus Christ! Look at this, man. I do love myself like some good, obnoxiously long band names like that. Like that shit's so fun to me. And I mean Louisville's kind of got. I mean, we've got the claim to fame in that vein would be Belushi Speedball being the like kind of tongue-in-cheek joke band. Yeah, man, that's good. Shania Twain Saw that really tickles.
That is so fucking good. I'm gonna have to reach out for them just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
So the new album Pure Disgust came out yesterday.
Yep.
11/15. Give us the cliff notes on the band from inception up to yesterday.
Cliff notes on the band. Started in 2015, so next year is the 10-year anniversary. We started. It was just a 3-piece. It was myself, our bass player Zach, and our drummer Tyler. We're very rare in that we've not had any lineup changes, with the exception of adding Jace, our other guitar player. So it's been the same 3-4 dudes really the whole time. We kind of bopped around for, we'll say 5 years, kind of figuring out what we wanted to do and what we wanted to sound like. So from 2015 till 2019 or so, kind of dipped our toes into a few different idioms of doom. So we did kind of the sleep electric wizard worship stuff. We did a lot of wind handy kind of stuff, just kind of feeling out what we wanted to do, a little bit aimless. And all, like, if we were being positive about it, we were like, we didn't feel constricted by genre. We just wrote what we felt. And if we're being critical and business minded about it, we didn't have a direction. And so come 2019, we made a conscious decision that we kind of wanted to focus in closer to the Weed Eater, Bongzilla-esque sound. And so the first album, Depressive Suicidal Stoner Doom, was more focused towards that. I switched from doing a mix of harsh and clean vocals to just doing harsh vocals. That album came out in January 31st of 2020. And so very shortly thereafter, we didn't get to go tour to support that. And so, yeah, so we basically spent all of COVID. And like we made that calculated decision in the early days where nobody really knew what was going on. And it was, what's your social bubble? We all kind of said, all right, we're going to make our bubble ourselves so that we could still practice. And some of our friends and bands didn't do that. And so, they kind of interacted digitally, but we were like, man, we're not seeing anybody else. We're going to spend this time to write. And so we got together over the course of COVID and basically wrote the second album, Basement Wizard. And we came back to live shows in 2021 in June. With our final live show pre-COVID was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, at a place that's no longer there called Howlers. Our friends in Jake the Hawk, now Star Viper, put that on for us. Star Viper, Myers, Mother Elizabeth Thorne are the like 3 bands that kind of turned into. And then our first show back from COVID was with Jake the Hawk in Youngstown, Ohio, at Westside Bowl, which is one of our favorite places to play. If you're ever in the region, Westside is the best. Nate is doing the real work up there. And so, yeah, Basement Wizard 2021. And then we had been kind of writing some new stuff. And over the course of the last 3 years, we've really been trying to split our time between playing shows out of town when we can and writing. And then, fast forward to the past 6-ish months, we went into the studio after having kind of written everything, recorded here in Louisville with our friend Dave Chale at Dead Bird Studios, and got everything done. And We had a pretty abbreviated production cycle, much to his chagrin for sure. If whenever he hears this, he'll probably be like, "Yeah, those guys were real assholes about getting rolling." But I have found that I need deadlines to operate under, and we as a band need deadlines, and so we set ourselves an aggressive schedule, and we kept to it. And then that all culminated in last night with the album coming out on streaming platforms at like midnight last night, or Thursday night into Friday. And then we had our album release show at Magbar last night. And it was a great time and had lots of friends there. And it was everything that I hope for those release shows to be. It was just a good experience all around. Got to see two of our friends' bands play and have folks that weren't familiar with them find out that these bands are great. Isolation Tank Ensemble from here in town opened, and Enemy of Magic from St. Louis, Missouri came in and played and blew everybody away, which I was like, fuck yes, this is exactly what I want. Hopefully they'll be back here sooner as opposed to later, because those guys are great and it was a good time. And that brings us to today. Done.
Boom.
I'm cracking open my drink now.
Yeah, it fucking earned it too. It's weird how before, just because it's stuck in my mind and I got to kind of say it out loud like a song gets stuck in your head. It's weird how far away 2020 and all that is, and yet how fucking close it all still feels.
Man, it does not feel like 4 years ago. Right. It feels like forever ago, but it's like, yeah, that's really not that long ago that it's
still such a relevant thing. It still comes up so often.
Yep. Oh, in my professional working job, like it's one of those things where it's just like we'll be looking at numbers and stuff, and it's just like there's still this big huge asterisk on 2020 to 2021 where you're just like, well, the COVID effect, and then like everyone's like, well, you can't blame that for everything. It's like, my God, you absolutely have to. Like it was very real. We all went inside and didn't come out.
Right. As a matter of fact, completely fucking randomly, I think I bought this shirt at the last show I went to before everything closed down, at fucking bridesmaid show at the fucking Dirty Dungarees here in Columbus.
Yeah.
I just weird.
As an aside, Bridesmaids about to play like their farewell show, aren't they?
Yeah, of course.
You'll get to see our friends. I'm pretty sure Blind Scryer are playing on that bill. Our friends from here in town are going up for that. I think they might be on the bill. And if they're not, then I apologize on saying that they are. They should be, because that band is great. They should be playing every show. I'm pretty sure they're playing it. And if you're not familiar with them, you'll really like them. They're great.
I'm pretty sure I've seen them a couple times as well. But no, that is going to be a good night. Back to you guys though, and the album that came out yesterday, Pure Disgust. What has reaction been to it so far?
Man, supremely positive. I've been really, really happy. Lots of friends and acquaintances have reached out, either directly to me or to the band, or have made posts about it. Man, it's been very humbling and reaffirming in kind of like I said, when we were leading up into 2020, we were a little bit aimless in our sound, and we kind of focused in starting in that time period, and we really I've made a conscious effort with each release to continue to try and focus in while not getting too one note with our delivery. And a couple themes that I've seen from people that have talked about there, like this record really is you guys. It sounds like a She record. It sounds like what you guys do, but it's still not resting on its laurels. It's still trying new things. It's still expanding what that even means to sound like a She record. Have had a lot of people comment on the increase in like guitar melody lines and harmony lines and stuff.
There are some delicious fucking riffs in there for sure.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, I've been really happy with the reception, and yeah, so we're pleased as punch.
That's fucking great, man. Why is it called Pure Disgust?
Man, that's a like the short answer would just be we were writing the song Pure Disgust, and thematically that song is just, it's kind of in the vein of our last two records of a little bit of self-deprecation and kind of processing through that. And that line "Pure Disgust" popped into my head as lyrics do. You just kind of think of a thing or a phrase like, yeah, that's a cool phrase. And we've had, each of our albums have had a title track. We've had a song that is the album title, and we were going through this album and kind of getting song titles and workshopping, and we have our working titles that sometimes become the real titles and sometimes don't. And I, for whatever reason, just really mentally gravitated towards that song title. I was like, that's a good, that could be it. And we were talking as a band about it, and the rest of the guys oftentimes defer to my preference on things, and they're just like, hey man, if you think it sounds good, like we're on board for that. And so I was like, all right, well, that's it now. And we're going. Ship it.
I'm really glad that you describe it that way with the working titles and everything, because I had you guys just the whole thing on shuffle there on Spotify earlier today, and caught Lawn Care for Adults.
Yeah.
And I see the title come across the screen on in my truck, and I flashed through conversations when I had Sugar Horse on whenever, and some of their just absolutely ridiculous song titles, and he talks about how they're just kind of stand-ins until they're not. And I wondered the same fucking thing about Lawn Care for Adults. And
Lawn Care was one. I'm like looking back through our albums of which ones were stand-ins until they weren't. None of that first album, all those first album titles were pretty specific, and or we did it. Lawn Care was definitely one where I was like, that was, in our demo folder. I was like, yeah, sure, we're putting that one. And like that one was named because or like the phrase "Lawn Care for Adults" came about with my drummer giving me shit because I just don't mow my backyard. It's just always overgrown. And he's like, man, you're an adult. You need to be taking care of your lawn. And I was just like, okay, we should write a manual called Lawn Care for Adults. Yeah, that one was a working title that stayed. I think We'll Bang Okay was a working title until we were like, okay, this song is that. And then I was like, I really like that phrase and like the meme reference. And so we wrote the lyrics around that title. And then, off of Pure Disgust, Ratway Warrens was a working title, or just like a placeholder, until it wasn't. And yeah, let's see. So ZBTC, I'll let you in on the, I'll let your listeners get the exclusive scoop then. ZBTC, for about the last 2 years, there would be this joke, our inside joke between me and some of my high school friends, and I brought it into our sets, where I would introduce a song and go, hey, what's up? Like, this next song is Zombie by the Cranberries. And then we would play any other song. And so we were talking about, for this album, having a song called Zombie by the Cranberries. And that's what that song is. This song is in fact called Zombie by the Cranberries, but it took too much space to type that all out. And so I went, and we're good, which I stole that from our friends in Swamp Hawk, who did that with their song TGOLR,
which stands for
The Ghost of Logan's Roadhouse.
Gotcha. So like I said, there was Sugar Horse and all that. They've got a song called Screaming Judas at Bob Dylan, and he talks through all that. And it's so fucking funny, and you just get attached to those things and think, and it ends up making a fucking great song. I love it.
I'm a big fan of, like a lot of the metal genre and a lot of like punk rock and aggressive music in general.
If you're going where I think you're going with this.
Well, it's it's such a serious sounding
drives
thing.
Me nuts, man.
But like most of us are a bunch of fucking nerds and goofy. Yeah, we're a bunch of goons and goofuses. And so I love a band that can do some serious shit, but also can have fun. And those two things don't have to be mutually exclusive. Right, you can have fun and be a real serious band while also, doing the thing. And last night, our buddies in Isolation Tank Ensemble, who are, very well connected and very, ingrained in collective action and serious topics, and their music is really heady and stuff. But in between every song, they kind of did that bit that I was just talking about. Every song was Like a Rock by Bob Seger, and then they'd continue on. And it's just that's the shit that I love. I'm like, yeah, we can have fun whilst also kind of
Right.
suffering together.
Everything sucks, man. There's no reason to not try to laugh. It's all right.
Yeah.
So I'm a known sucker for some horns and heavy music, and in general, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
The horn in Creature Comforts, as we were kind of talking before I pushed record, as I'm listening to the album yesterday at work and pissed off about 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
The horns in Creature Comforts caught me off guard and happily pulled me out of what the fuck I was doing.
Yeah.
I love it. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so one of our friends that I met through another mutual friend. We would hang out and watch pro wrestling like circa 2016, 2017 or so. When it would have been whenever WrestleMania 30 was, so whatever that year. So we
word on it.
Yeah, so we started hanging out and watching wrestling and became good friends that way. And he is a trumpet player and a music educator and hosts a podcast. And so we were talking when we were getting ready for Basement Wizard, and I was like, man, like we've got this song High Praise. I was like, we should have him do a trumpet solo on it. And so we did. It was great. And so we were talking during writing this album and during Creature Comforts, we got to that section, and like I had been working on a guitar solo, and I was like, you know what? I was like, we should ask Kurt to come back and do this. And all the boys were like, well, hell yeah, we should. And so, yeah, it was really just repeating kind of that same offer that we had in that last one. And it's slightly because you hear saxophones in aggressive music a lot. You hear a lot of saxes and flutes. You hear a lot of woodwind stuff going on. And like, I just hadn't heard like brass instruments being used. I'm like, well, I know this guy that plays trumpet and cornet and brass instruments. I was like, let's get him in there. And so when we went into the studio, we're talking with him and had him lay it down. He's like, so like, what kind of a vibe do you want? And I was like, just do something, and then I'll know what to change after you just do whatever. And so he kind of laid this thing down. I was like, okay. I'm like, man, what if like you kind of did the outline of the melodic idea? And he's like, what if we layered it and made it sound like you're eating at a Mexican restaurant? And I'm like, now we're talking. And so in our demo, he like did it once, and then he did it a second time with a mute in the trumpet. And I put him in there, put some reverb. I'm like, yeah, no, they're bringing you chips and salsa right now. And he's like, perfect. And so, yeah, it's just having fun with friends, man. I like involving my homies whenever I can. Right.
Please excuse me while I write that down. In a Mexican restaurant. That's fucking hilarious. I love it. Clearly, Creature Comforts is my favorite on the album.
Okay.
And I know the horn comes back there at the end, I want to say, the last song.
Yeah, so we had him. Whenever I messaged him, I was like, I have two parts on the album that I really want. I was like, this solo, and then I was like, at the end of the album, at Bad Times, it kind of is crescendoing and building and building. I was like, I would really like that to be really cacophonous. I want as many layers and just shit kind of piling, and everything is falling apart until it coalesces back for the finale. And I was like, he plays in like a jazz fusion band, and he teaches music to these kids. And I was like, dude, I want you to do like two or three things, and I'm gonna layer them in. I was like, one, just make fucking noise, whatever, like, weird, like horse whinny, like all that shit. And it's like the other one I was like, can you just play me some hard bop licks? And I was like, and he's like, what key? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. And his brain just like broke, and he's like, but like what? And I was like, just fucking play notes. And so like I don't know how he ended up approaching it, but I was like, man, if it helps, like just go home and record yourself playing a horn solo over this tune, and like I'm just gonna take that and drop it in, because it doesn't matter. It's supposed to sound bad. It's supposed to be dissonant and cacophonous, and so that's what you hear at the end. Is you kind of hear him doing like 4 or 5 different layers, panned and affected, and like sitting there in the studio with Dave, who engineered it, and like I told him, I was like, all right, now just as a reminder, this is gonna sound bad, and that's okay. He's like, okay. And so we start doing it, and he's like playing the thing, and he's like, the playing sounds great. And then he starts layering it on there. He's like, oh yeah, that sounds terrible. I'm like, good. Then we're on the right track. But yeah, so it was really fun again to get him to do not only a solo like proper, but then also to kind of throw in some of his other stuff in there.
Anybody who drops into this podcast and then goes backwards is going to hear elongated horns conversations in both episodes in completely different manners. And I fucking love it.
Yeah.
My actual question there was Creature Comforts, my favorite. I love the song.
Yeah.
Previous to the horns, it's a lot of fun. What's your favorite song on the album?
Ooh, man, my favorite song on the album. That's really hard. I really like Dex, which is track 2. Dex is probably the second. It's the first 2 songs I think are chronologically the 2 songs we wrote for this cycle first. We've been playing Bastard for a long while, and then we started playing Dex shortly thereafter. Dex, I really like. I think that it is like the closest to our friends in Fairy Ring. Like it's kind of got a little bit of their vibe going on, but it's got groove, which I really like. And then like the guitar harmonies going on at the back half of it, as well as just the story behind it. Our good buddy Riff Zealot, his kid Dex Zealot, who wrote the first review of the album. Dex asked us to write a song about dinosaurs that are on a rocket ship flying through the Kuiper Belt. And I was like, well, you asked for it, so we're going to do it. Like if at the time he was 7 or 8, I was like, if an 8-year-old says, I want you to write a song about dinosaurs, like you fucking write a song about dinosaurs. And so that's near and dear to my heart. I really like the title track, Pure Disgust. I really enjoy the back half when the feel changes up. We're kind of playing in 7. We're playing in a different meter, and then Tyler shifts from emphasizing that meter into just playing straight 4/4 underneath it, which is absolutely 100% ripped off from the band Howling Giant. They do that on a song called River Guide, where they're playing in 6, and then he stops playing in 6 and plays in 4 while everybody else still plays in 6. And it's this, you're moving where the downbeat is and where your head bobs, but it's still in tempo, so you can still bob your head to it and feel right. It's I think that's really fun. But yeah, I'd say probably those 2 songs, Dex and Pure Disgust, are probably my 2 favorite if I had to choose. But ask me tomorrow, different answer probably.
We'll see what that. Yeah, sure. You mentioned some of the other players in the band there. How about we go round robin with the guys that aren't here today?
Yeah.
Tell us who they are, what they do, and which ones are your least and most favorite.
Oh, man, that's easy pickings on that. We'll start with most favorite. So Jace is our other guitar player. He would be, air quotes, the newest member of the band. He's been friends with Tyler and Zach, the other 2, for a long time. Jace plays guitar. He joined in like 2017, and he's the sweetest, most gentlest baby boy. He is our resident vegan, and he is so kind about that. And we will be on the road, and we're like trying to find something to eat, and we're like, all right, well, like, how about this? Like, and we'll be looking at menus to make sure that there's vegan options there. And he's like, you guys don't have to do that. Like, it's fine. I can just I'll go get a granola bar at the gas station. I'm like, Jay, shut the fuck up. Like, we're gonna go so that you can actually eat a meal. Jace is the best. Zach, our bass player, would be my second favorite. And depending on the day or what I need at the moment, he might be my favorite. But Zach balances me out a lot of times, and is usually ends up being kind of like the middleman between myself and my least favorite member. Where if we're having a disagreement, he kind of becomes the objective third party. Zach has really come into his own a lot in the last 3 years, especially. When we first started playing, and on a quick aside, this is my, I don't know, we'll say like 4th real band, air quotes real band. This is the longest band I've ever been a part of, but I've been playing shows and like doing live music since high school. The other 3 dudes, this is their first band, like proper band. Like they've jammed with friends, but like never played shows before we started, never was part of a band. So they've been learning a lot, over the first 5 years. And then as we've continued to. And Zach in particular, when we first started, one of our buddies, Mateo from Isolation Tank Ensemble, he would go, "Your bass player looks like he's doing math problems when he plays," because he'd just be kind of like sitting there, like looking very, very focused, but like not necessarily in an entertaining way. And so I remember he took that to heart. We were talking about it, and man, he has now become maybe the most fun to watch with us. He is just having a good time up there, and I'm so grateful for him on working on that craft. And then Tyler, our drummer, is my least favorite member. He's a piece of shit, and I hate him. So fuck that guy. But in all seriousness, no, Tyler is definitely, I said it last night, he's the connective tissue of the band. We would not be the band we are without Tyler being a part of it. His playing is interesting, and he approaches, whenever we will bring riffs forward, he approaches them in very different ways than like I often have in mind. And it's almost always better than what I thought it would be. Like I'll have kind of the lowest common denominator feel, or I'll tell him that, and he'll be like, okay, and he'll play a couple times like that, and then he'll start switching shit up, and it always ends up being something so much better. And a number of our songs have started with him bringing a drum groove, and then we write around that. So like Ratway Warrens was 100% that. He came in, he's like, I have this drum thing, and what you hear, that all that shit was him. And like we wrote the song around that. Bad Times, that opening shuffle, that started with him. Like he came in, he's like, I've got this shuffle, and he played it. And Tyler is definitely the foil to me for sure in like the operations of the band and the direction of things, but we end up balancing each other out. Whereas, I may be too aggressive with trying to push in one direction, and he will pull me back on that. And then he might be too aggressive in trying to go a different direction, and then I'll even that out. So we've been very fortunate, and we've struck a organizational balance amongst the four of us. We each kind of have our roles and our thing that we're adding or subtracting from the greater whole. And it's worked for 10 years now. So I'm pretty pleased about all that.
Yeah, man. Fuck yeah. I love I'll echo the fuck you, Tyler thing just on the principle here, but the drummer thing is super interesting, and not to keep like self-selling or self-referencing here, but it's super relevant to some recent shows and some things that are super near and dear to my heart musically in the new Generation of Vipers album and the new Adira Horse album. And listening to those things, like I've been waiting 10 years for that fucking Generation of Vipers album. So I was listening to that motherfucker intently, period.
Yeah.
Listening to it and lead up to conversation with them, and the same thing with Dear Horse. You start thinking about it in like, I keep wanting to say critical, but you examining these things and thinking about it as you're listening, it's like, this had to have started. And I throw that out in conversation, knowing that, or at least feeling like that's a weird way to do things. And they confirm it. And I think, fucking nailed that one. Yeah.
Yeah, man. It's how and where things start or get sourced or how you craft any of this shit is always, it's so wildly variable. And I do like it whenever Tyler, there's been a couple of songs that we haven't like put down, or that they're still kind of kicking around in the back of my memory. He really wants to do something in the vein of High on Fire's Romulus and Remus, with that like the offbeat emphasis, that boom, that shit. We've jammed a few things where we're like, okay, we're getting close, but this is just too painfully obvious that that's what we're doing. But maybe on album 4, or if we do an EP in between, we'll get that song in. But like he's got a bunch of stuff that he's like thrown forward, as well as, I mean, he just started with it like about a year ago. We've done a side project called Atrophic, which is like atmospheric but claustrophobic death metal in the vein of like Ulcerate, and that is his project. He's writing basically all of it, and it's so cool to see him approaching that genre so differently from most of our peers, at least in Louisville. but also again, just like it's this bone that, you know, if you'd asked me 10 years ago, oh yeah, can your drummer write music, I would have been like, no, probably not. And man, he's really come into his own, and grown, and he approaches things so differently than I do. So it's cool to have that that foil in the fold.
Yeah, he's clearly doing pretty all right. I'm gonna grab a couple threads there from that particular thing,
yeah,
and run with it for a second. So the High on Fire, I saw them recently,
mm-hmm.
and they've got the guy from Big Business playing drums here recently.
Yeah,
my God, what a perfect fit he fucking is there.
Yeah,
and then to tie it all together, I know you guys opened up for them here recently.
Yeah,
How
man,
the fuck was that?
Dude, what a, again, just like a super humbling experience, and and affirming that we're doing something that is resonating with at least some subset of people. And it really is a nice feeling of like, we've been, you know, again, doing this for almost 10 years now. And like we've had the internal conversation a few times throughout the years, kind of just checking in on like, all right, what's the next step? What's the next like benchmark? And we have kind of all agreed that we're about at the ceiling of where we not necessarily like want to get to, but like we're okay with getting to. We all have, you know, full-time work jobs, and none of us has any illusions about this becoming like this isn't how we're going to pay our bills, and we're all cool with that. This is our passion project that we spend our time and energy and put into, and so we kind of landed on, or at least I kind of landed on directionally, the goals are to be able to go play like little weekend runs and do some smaller tours, nothing like huge, but like, you know, at most maybe like a week. Like doing a week tour would be a really cool experience for us, I think. That's like thing one. And then thing two is basically being like, man, whenever there's really cool shows happening in town, we want to be a band that a booker can go, they are who I want to have open it because I know that they will deliver. And so we got the email for that show, and I'm like, well, fuck, there it is. Like, what better of a like feather in that cap, and to feel like, okay, we can put a check mark next to that goal of being a band that gets asked to play cool shows. Because yeah, fucking opening for High on Fire and Weed Eater was on our date, and it's like, shit, that's literally two bands. One band that we've explicitly ripped off. Like, we rip off Weed Eater so hard, and like I'll own that. Like, and we've said that for a long time. And so it's like, yeah, like listening to Jason the Dragon was one of the things that made me go, yeah, that's the direction we want to go in. And High on Fire, again, we like, Tyler has brought that track. We've talked about, you know, some of their older stuff and like that more up tempo thing, and we're like, all right, like let's fuck with tempos. Like, we can play fast and still be like riff focused. I mean, look at High on Fire. And so to get to play that show was just so rad. And, you know, forever grateful. A lot of that opportunity came about because of us playing some local shows that the people that book at that venue at Mercury Ballroom, they saw us at a local show, and they're like, yeah, that band is good. And whenever that opportunity came, and they're like, oh, you know, Live Nation said we can put a local on this show. We just saw this band that was good. We should ask them. And so that was really, again, reaffirming and humbling, and just such an honor to be a part of that show.
As somebody that is also in a local band and has, you know, it deals with these types of things, and knowing some of the local bands and hearing you talk through that, this is just me kind of saying things out loud that I'll have to edit out later and be pissed at myself about. But at that point, I'll make a note. And I think I don't know if this would be interesting or not, to have like a panel, for lack of a less fucking formal way of saying it, of dudes like yourself to talk about how these local things work. Because I don't think a lot of people really understand that, and how scummy some of it is, how cool some of it is. You know, it's
a dangerous endeavor for sure. If only because it's like, man, different scenes operate differently, and like, and you know, there's some level of objectivity there, but man, there's so much subjective stuff. And like, frankly, there's shit where it's like, man, sometimes kind of being shitty is what you have, not like have to do, but like that, like it's a business, and there's ways, I think, at least personally, there's ways to conduct yourself that are business minded, that aren't sacrificing the ethos of community and the ethos of what I think local music should be, which is supportive and helpful and all that. And some people don't take criticism well, or take constructive criticism well, and other people thrive off of it, and so like tempering some of that, and figuring out ways to navigate that, and this goes both ways, right? Receiving and giving. I think there's people who try and give constructive criticism, but it just comes across as mean-spirited, and it's like, I know that your intent wasn't that, but you need to focus on or work on that element. And so yeah, man, you're definitely correct in that. I think more resources that are candid discussions about the experience of, hey, you are a local or regional act. Here are some, even if it's just general guidelines of here's ways to conduct yourself, or here's things that you can do to support yourself and your community. And because if everybody gets on board with acting in a certain way, we all can succeed to some degree. And some of it's personality based, some of it's energy and time and commitment based, but I think that there's some pretty simple guidelines that everybody would benefit from focusing on, and we can all succeed.
Yeah, there's I'm just gonna skip that. Like most things, I said I'm gonna skip it. Now I'm gonna say the same thing anyway.
You can edit it.
Like most things, well, you've said a whole bunch of really smart and useful things there, so now I can't fucking edit it out.
You can edit it out, buddy. You do whatever you need.
But like most things in life, it's not all of this or all of that. It's not.
Yes.
And as you're mentioning there's some simple fucking things there that everybody can common sense follow along with to make this not an issue.
I'll do a very brief, and if it gets edited out, that's fine. I'll do a brief self plug. I haven't been as active in doing it recently or updating it just because of other obligations, but I had started this spreadsheet forever ago for my own use of booking resources, specifically bands and venues, because whenever we were trying to play out of town, that was the two things I found were really tricky for me to keep tabs on, was, okay, who's playing where and where are they playing? And so, man, like I just like would troll through Instagram and I'd find a band that I know. So like Weed Demon, great example.
Sure.
Weed Demon is in Columbus and plays doom metal. And I would put that in my spreadsheet. And then I would just go onto the Weed Demon Instagram, and I would open up every flyer that I saw. And I would just go through and look at where were they playing, add that to the list. Who were they playing with? Add that to the list. Then I'd go to one of those bands. Where are they from? Add it. And then I filled out this. I've got this Excel spreadsheet. It's a Google sheet rather, specifically because if you go to our link tree, you can find the link to it, and it's public facing, and it's cross genre at this point, mostly in the heavy and aggressive music, but there's still some like indie rock and alternative stuff in there. But like, it's just a list of bands and venues, so that if you as a band are trying to play out of town, you don't now have to go do the legwork of finding where to play.
That's fucking brilliant. Yeah.
Granted, there is wide swaths of quality covered there, right? Like there are bands there that are brand new, and there are bands that are more established or more professional. There are venues that are more catering towards one genre or another. And so that is an area that I haven't really figured out how to best tackle. Similarly, man, like, to be frank and to candid, there are venues that it's like, you don't want to play there. Like that is not a place that you will want to play. You will not have a good time. You will not have a successful show, but they do host shows. And so it's like, all right, well, like, do you put it out there because unless something happens or changes, it's never going to get better? Or do you keep it off because you're just dooming someone else to fail? And like that, I'm generally more in the opinion of like, I want to put the information out there and you can make the educated decision yourself. But that's another bridge to cross. But the point being, the first tab of this spreadsheet that you can find on our link tree, I put like my own editorialized comments of, hey, this is the reason why I did this. a few things that I've observed that I think you as a person reading this sheet should just immediately start thinking about and do. And it's like simple shit like, one, you should have a link tree or something similar that says, here are all of my relevant social links. And it shouldn't just be like, here's your YouTube video and a thing. It should be everything in one place. Your Facebook, your Instagram, your email, your Bandcamp, your Spotify, all of that should be in one spot so that if I, as a potential listener, find it, I can get to anything from one place. And then go to all of those places and make sure they link back to this. So I shouldn't be on your Facebook and go, do they have an Instagram? And I don't see it. I shouldn't be on your Instagram and go, oh, well, how do I get to anything else? It should all be as easily to navigate from one thing to another. And then the other one, again, my own, feel free to cut this one out. Fucking check your goddamn DMs and messages every day. Every day, make sure you've checked it and respond to it. Respond to it even if the answer is no. Respond to it even if the answer is I don't know yet. Do not leave anybody on red. And I will say that's more of a venue thing than it is a band thing, but it is definitely both parties guilty to it. But like
we are crazy simpatico on a lot of these fucking things.
If we all just respond to messages and make sure that all of our contact info is correct, we can all do better. Ourselves included. I am terrible with Facebook Messenger. That shit gets missed so hard on my end. I drop the ball on Facebook all the time. And so I put a blurb in our bio on both. I said
Instagram
preferred or email. And so then it doesn't get missed. And people still hit us up on Facebook, and I consciously check it every couple days just to make sure. But yeah, like I think there's opportunities for us all to improve and
there parts of this will probably get pulled out, but I think there's a super interesting conversation, like a roundtable thing that I might try to put up. Anyways, moving forward.
Yeah.
Annie answered. We're back. What are these songs about on Pure Disgust?
Oh, geez.
The new album from Shi.
I can't. You want me to just do the rapid fire? Like, I'll give you a sentence about each of these 12 because man, they cover a lot of ground. We can do a sentence per. We can dive in. What do you want?
I'm going to defer to you.
All right, let me do I'll do a sentence per, and then if you want to circle back on any, I'll leave that up to you.
Leave Bastard to discuss since that's going to be the end song.
Okay. Bastard would be about the frustrations that I have with watching my parents fall down the Fox News rabbit hole. Dex is about dinosaurs flying through outer space because that's what it was asked to be about. Ratway Warrens is about wanting to self-isolate and just kind of get away from everything and be like, I'm out of here. Creature Comforts would be about like inequitable or unrequited feelings towards friends or romantic partners or the world in general, being like you're giving more than you're getting. Oxgoad Blues is about Shamgar, son of Anath, who in Judges 3 kills 600 Philistines with an ox goad and ties that ideologically into current world affairs. The Howl is an instrumental song where we rip off the band Howling Giant. The Interlude is an interlude, and that's what it is. Zikranam is about like losing a loved one and feeling like, how am I supposed to not necessarily like carry on, but just like, how am I supposed to honor that memory and that person and kind of unpacking that feeling. Pure Disgust is being like, damn, I suck and I don't like myself. Soon Enough is also like, damn, I suck and I don't like myself. Zombie by the Cranberries is about looking around at the current state of the world and being like, damn, everything sucks and I don't like it. And then Bad Times is kind of a mix of everything sucks, as do I, and I don't like it. The end.
I feel like I should summarize this. Everything
sucks and I don't like it.
Sucks. And I don't like it.
Yeah.
I like this album even more now. To be as simple and accurate as possible, the album cover is fucking amazing.
Appreciate it.
Tell us about what led to that final product.
Yeah, I can absolutely do so. So it was painted, or not painted, rather. Sorry, it was drawn. It's digital by our friend Nathan Pietrzakowski. If you go to our Bandcamp, a link to his website is included there. So I met Nathan, or I'm sorry, I call him Pietro. I don't know why I called him Nathan. I've never called him Nathan in the entirety of the time that I've known him. It's always been Pietro. So Pietro and I met freshman year of college through a mutual friend of mine who I went to high school with, and he ended up roommates with. I was down there visiting, met Pietro, became fast friends. And so fast forward to our like inception in 2015, and we needed a shirt. And so I knew that Pietro was an art major and was doing printmaking professionally. And so I hit him up and said, hey man, can you do a shirt design for us? And he said, sure. And so that design became our first shirt. And it was great. We ended up reprinting it as a hoodie a few years ago. Awesome. So it was time to do the second album. And I hit up Pietro and I said, hey man, like I would really love to do an album cover with you. Is that in the cards? Because I know that you are a working professional artist and you have other shit going on. He's also teaching, and it wasn't in the cards. It just, the scheduling wasn't going to work out. And I was like, well, like I'm putting this bug in your ear that I want to do this with you in the future. Cool. Fast forward to like January-ish of this year, and I hit him up. I was like, hey man, we're probably going to be working on this album over the summer for a fall release. Do you think you have the bandwidth to get that in by like October? And he's like, dude, he goes, yeah, actually I should. He's like, you're hitting me up early enough and I've got enough gaps in my workload. Let's make it happen. And so it came time to start talking about what to actually do. And I said, I go, Pietro, the reason I want you to do the art is because I like your art. You have a great style and you're really talented. And I was like, I don't want to really give you too much direction, other than it needs to include a boar, because that's been kind of a running theme of all three albums, is the boar creature or something. And that's it. As long as there's a boar involved, and if you can work the kanji in somewhere. And he goes, sure. And so he pinged me back a few weeks later. He's like, I've been thinking about it. He goes, are you familiar with this art series by this guy Pantagruel? And he's got these creatures that he did as prints back in the Middle Ages or some shit. And I was like, funny enough, I was like, I shouldn't be familiar, but I am, because I just used his shit for a flyer. And he's like, awesome. He's like, so if you're familiar, like I'm thinking doing the boar in that style. And I was like, absolutely. Those are really cool. They're very stylized. They're kind of unsettling. Go for it. And so he hit us back with what you kind of see as the final product without the color and without some of the detail work. And I was like, yep, that's it. Go with it. And so then he basically delivered the final product not too terribly long after that. So it's really mostly his artistic vision. He wanted to incorporate, the music side of things. He wanted to incorporate the smoke and the pipe. We were talking about, he's like, I think it'd be cool to have some little creatures around him to kind of fill in some of the empty space. I was like, absolutely, that sounds great. And so, yeah, it's really just all like Pietro's mind. We just kind of gave him those high level ideas and he ran with it. So again, can't praise Pietro enough. If you go to our Bandcamp, his link to his website is there, and you should check out all of his work. It's all fantastic.
Can fucking confirm. It is great. Speaking of looking at things artistically, I don't know. I'm just trying to make a bridge into saying, give me some version of the writing process for these songs.
Yeah. So generally speaking, and we kind of touched on it a little bit, like if Tyler doesn't come in with a drum groove that we then write to, usually, man, it's a lot of just fucking feeling it out. A lot of this album was us just kind of in the room with me throwing a riff idea out, and we'd be like, okay, that's a cool riff. Now what riff comes after it? Or that feels like a chorus. What should be the verse? Or, just kind of hashing out riff ideas, putting them down in a voice note, and then coming and like listening to them, and then coming back with like, okay, here's how it should be arranged, or here's this other thing. generally speaking, our process is pretty straightforward. It's very like songwriter-y, where it's like, okay, verse, chorus, bridge, or like, start with that and then mess with it a bit, or like, okay, what if you do the verse, but you've changed what one member is playing. Instead of playing along, now they're doing a harmony. Or what if we add in this little noodly bit, or okay, a solo goes here. Man, it's honestly, I wish it was a more interesting and unique writing process, but it ultimately just ends up being jamming on riffs until they sound right, and then finding another riff that sounds right and figuring out which riffs go with which riffs, and then kind of going from there. I will say we definitely focus more on, like, I don't want to say like songwriting because that sounds pretentious, but like I think one area of our genre that I think is an opportunity, and that hasn't resonated for me, is like the extended jam of a single riff. Like, I love Dope Smoker by Sleep. I could never write Dope Smoker because I would get bored myself. And like, I really like Windhand. When I've tried to write Windhand songs, they end up as 4-minute songs, not 6 to 7 minute songs.
Right.
I have a hard time playing the same riff multiple times outside of the bounds of just kind of like a song. And so we started leaning into that more and more, starting with the first album, and especially on these ones. I mean, these are 3 to 4 minute songs almost entirely. And I like that because I don't have the patience to sit and hang on a riff when I'm playing it. And if I don't have the patience to sit and hang with it while I'm playing it, I know other people are fine with that, listening to it, but I definitely don't want to listen to it. So yeah.
Keep going.
That's basically it. It's just that we're just get it. Like, when we play our fucking sets, by one of my other bands, the guitar player always gives us grief. He's just like, you guys play a 25-minute set. And I'm like, yeah, because I'm done. I'm like, we've played 25 minutes. I'm good. He's like,
what else do you want from me?
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, no, man, like, you guys should be playing 30, 35 minutes. I'm like, I don't want to play 30, 35 minutes. I want to play the song and then leave you wanting more and get the fuck out of here.
Oh my God, dude. We might actually be the same fucking person. Anyways, I'll skip that. The, again, self-referential type things on my end. And by all means, anybody hearing this, go back and listen to these other episodes. If you haven't heard the new Generation of Vipers album and you like fucking She, you goddamn should. If you haven't heard the Dear Horse episode or the album, you damn fucking well should. And A Dear Horse, the drummer, spectacularly enough, we got talking about something, and he said one of the smartest things I've heard in a long ass time. And that you're fighting in 2024, you're fighting for people's attention 15 seconds at a time. It's not, and to extrapolate out from that, it's not long from now where the 4 or 5 minute song is the 8 or 9 minute song. Your futuristic Windhand.
Man, dude. So, man, that the Dear Horse comment really resonates for sure. A YouTuber that I really like watching, Todd in the Shadows. I've always enjoyed his output, and he does reviews and like singular pop song reviews, and I usually watch his like year-end lists. But one of the things that he had commented on either this year's or last, it must have been last year's because this year's not done. Last year or the previous, he really honed in. He's like, this was the year of like the influence of TikTok really fucking crystallizing and driving home. And like, he was talking about, these songs that it's like, all the song is a hook, and then like the quickest verse you could possibly get on there, and then back to that hook. And like, that's not a new formula, but like, it used to be you milked that for 3 to 4 minutes. Now it's like, no, your song is 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, because you're not writing actually a song. You're just writing a hook for TikTok. And like, and so that Dear Horse comment, like, man, that's in line with what's happening in popular music. I'm not surprised that it would eventually trickle down into other forms of creative mediums, because like it or not, like the pop culture zeitgeist will influence even the underground side of it, as the kids who grow up watching TikTok videos find heavy music and move into that. They don't leave all of that behind. They bring some of it with them.
Right.
And so, yeah, that totally makes sense.
And in some version, you flash back to late 70s, early 80s, Tom Petty saying, "Don't bore us, get to the chorus." And it's just
Yeah.
it evolved in a kind of gross fucking way.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love some of the, I don't know, catchphrases, for lack of a better way of putting it, related to the band, from the most punctual band in Kentucky to Deep Fried Doom and Roll to Only Rock and Roll is Real. Which one of you wonderfully weird prophets are coming up with these damn things, and why aren't you making doom metal Hallmark cards, patent pending?
Oh man, now that's a good idea. Oh, man, greeting cards. I'm always on the hunt for good merch ideas. So yeah, we'll figure out a licensing agreement with you for that. Most of those are either me coming up with it, just thinking about it, or like bullshitting in our thread, or I see something and I'm like, how can I steal this? Because that's how you operate, right? Yeah, like oh, the Only Rock and Roll is Real. I'm pretty sure that was a fairy ring thing, and they might have said Only Electric Guitar is Real first, but like that really resonated with me, so I started using that in honor of them for sure. Yeah, the Deep Fried Doom and Roll is a more recent switch up. Admittedly, like, you know, the first album, Depressive Suicidal Stoner Doom, we were using that as our kind of genre thing for a while, right? Because like if you say you're a stoner doom band, that's fine, like that's what it is, but like we wanted something to differentiate it from everything else, and we wanted to be explicit about what we were air quotes about. And so we were like, well, all these songs are about getting high and killing yourself, so we're Depressive Suicidal Stoner Doom, right? And so we were doing that, and we did that for the last like 3 years, give or take. And like I was talking with somebody about it, and I was like, man, like while I'm like I'm not ashamed, air quotes, of that. I was like, that's not entirely what we're going for now. And like, there's definitely again, we have a glass ceiling that we know where we're at, and we're cool with that. But we want to maximize our ability to get to that ceiling. And I was like, I think it's probably more marketable in some way to not be Depressive Suicidal Stoner Doom. We don't have to not be singing songs about that, but like, we can be more tactful with how we approach it.
Sure.
And so the Deep Fried Doom and Roll was just a thing where I was like, I want something that reflects that we're moving more and really leaning more into our classic rock influence and like the rock and roll thing. So I was like, it needs to have something within roll. And like, I was like, well, fuck, we're from Kentucky, like deep fried, like country fried chicken, all that shit. It's like, all right, Deep Fried Doom and Roll. I was like, that sounds gross, and it's got a little bit of that like kind of griminess to it, but like, when I hear that, I kind of have an idea of what I'm expecting, and it is us. And so I was comfortable with changing shit up in that way. And so we got some koozies that got printed with it, and they were moving pretty well. I was like, all right, I think we're gonna lean in on this. So
I need to be one of those koozies.
Yeah, well, we're working on getting back up. We've got some spring there, not announced yet. We're coming back up to Columbus in February. It's not announced yet. Super secret. But
super secret. Nobody heard that.
Nobody heard that. But we're coming up that way in February is the current plan.
Barring the sweet release of death, I can't see how I won't be here.
Exactly, man. Same here. Yeah. But yeah, no, most of our merch ideas and most of any of our like other shit is usually a combination of us bullshitting amongst ourselves, or me having a bad idea, sending it to the group, and them either going, that's a bad idea, go ahead and do it, or vetoing it. Usually they're pretty good about letting me do what I want, even when it's not necessarily a good idea. We made some shirts that are a little bit closer to like, I saw like these hardcore bands making a style of shirt with like a live picture as the screen printed image. And so like I made one of those, and I thought it looked really cool. The boys didn't really like it, and we've moved them. They sold, but like they didn't move as quickly. They weren't as hot of an item as some of our other stuff. And so, you know, that one, the one I got vetoed recently was I was like, you know, we fucking love Waffle House. We should do a Waffle House ripoff logo. And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And so I was doing that, and then I was like, well, obviously the hash brown or the sausage, egg, and hash brown bowl is the menu item that I always get. So we just need a shitty JPEG of that on the shirt, right? And I put it on there, and it's so unappealing. And they're just like, "Yeah, no, we can't actually do that." And I was like, "Fuck!" So I got to figure out how to work our love of Waffle House into the merch still, but that'll come eventually, I'm sure.
As a 40-something white guy who just heard a Waffle House reference and thinks too much about the weather because 40-something white guy.
Yeah.
I love the fucking Waffle House weather indicator thing that the fucking government goes.
Yes. How bad of a disaster is this, FEMA? I don't know. How many Waffle Houses are closed? You're like, oh, yes. Yeah. And again, that's how we knew that fucking last series of storms down in Florida was like so bad. You're just like, the Waffle Houses are closed. Oh,
they're
fuck.
closed.
Yeah.
That says something about our society. I just can't fucking figure out what it is.
It definitely says something about it.
It definitely says something. If there was one thing you could change about the band, what would it be?
Ooh, one thing we could change. There's part of me that really wishes we had like a keyboardist, like some fucking like Deep Purple rock and roll organ going on. But I don't want it all the time, and that's the struggle I've always had. Is I'm like, one, like there's songs I'm like, this would be really cool to incorporate. And so like getting either one of us
Ozzy keeping the keyboardist under the fucking stage and out of sight.
Yeah, we might do that, or either me, or because I can play good enough, or getting Jace is actually a really good keyboardist. That would be that would be something that could be a cool opportunity for us. Anything else? What else could I change about the band? I wish we owned a van, like a 15-passenger van. That's what I would change. Right now, I just got a minivan, and so we're able to do our gear hauls a little more efficiently. I need to slap a trailer hitch on it, and then we'll be ready to do things more real. But yeah, I just wish we had a van, like a 12-passenger van. That's all we need. That's what I'd change.
Sure, that makes some form of sense. What kind of influences go into making deep fried doom and roll?
When we first kind of switched over during the first album, it was very clearly Weed Eater and Bongzilla. Now I would say it is more Church of Misery. That's probably the band I'm most like ripping off, and I'm listening to, and I'm like, all right, I want to write a new song. And I just put on fucking Houses of the Unholy, and I'm like, okay, what did they do? Let's just do that. Doing those things. Yeah, it's a lot of Church of Misery, and then again a lot of like classic rock shit. I fucking love. I get endless shit from one of my best friends for it. I fucking love the Eagles. I love the Eagles. They are so awesome and terrible, and it's great. It makes me feel like a dad, and I'm like, hell yeah. So yeah, the Eagles. I've recently also discovered, much to my shame, I've done it 2 years now. I did the 30 days of Kissmas, where you listen to a Kiss album every day of December.
No.
Yes, the entire month of December, one album a day. And I've discovered that I genuinely like the first Kiss album.
You are awful.
I don't know. I went into it being like, I did it as a torturing myself thing, because I was like, yeah, I'm going to subject myself to this terrible thing. And I came out of it and I was like, oh, fuck, do I like Kiss? So yeah, that was a very hard realization to come to. But I fucking love Bad Things. I fucking love, there's a shot down here, the Turbo Lover, which is 1 part Malort to 1 part Jaeger. Love it. Love it. It's so good. I love Moxie, which is this soda from up in the Maine area. That's kind of like if you took like cough medicine and root beer and mixed them together. There's this liqueur called Brachovka, which is like it's like a spicier Jaeger. Yeah, I like Bad Things. I love Good and Plenty's. Good and Plenty's are like my favorite candy. And Necco wafers. I'm basically a 62-year-old man.
No, you have took self-deprecation to a physical and selfish level that is unparalleled.
How can I most hurt myself? Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, the influences of the band are definitely all of those things. When you listen to us, you're basically listening to audio Good and Plenty's.
That is the dumbest sentence I've heard this fucking month. And I've heard a lot of dumb sentences.
Yeah, haven't we all?
It's fucking. You know what? Context. Fuck it. I'm sticking with it.
Yeah, you're good. Leave that. I'll update our bio. I'll put that in the EPK next. I'll be like, we are the audio equivalent of Good and Plenty's.
That is so good, man. This has been a super fucking fun conversation, Bael. I've got so many other things I want to go through, but we're at $1:15 already. What's your favorite riff? Both yours and in general.
Ooh, favorite riff. In general, man, I keep hyping our homies, but man, the riff from Fairy Ring's Lover, do 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 do, that fucking riff kills me. Oh my god, I love it so much. So yeah, that riff is probably one of my favorites of the moment. On the new record, if we're self-promoting here, probably. They're all so good. No,
application to self.
Yeah, there it is. I really like the tag of Oxcode Blues, which is not a riff I wrote. So Jace wrote most of that song. But the that little lick, I like that a lot. Jace delivered. He's like, hey guys, like, I wrote this song, like, could we maybe like try it? And I'm like, yes, Jace, we can absolutely do that. So he taught us that. Yeah, I really like that little tag on Oxcode Blues a lot.
I think after kind of in relation to things we've talked about with the taglines for you guys, after this show, between you with drum beats and riffs and everything, I'm going to change the tagline for the podcast to Home of Mouth Riffs.
Mouth riffs. Yeah, man. That's what you do, right? Is when you're trying to tell the other members what to. I mouth drum to Tyler a lot whenever we're workshopping. I'm like, yeah, try like a and like I do the air drums as if I'm hitting them, and he'll like be so they're just like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then like he'll play it. I'm like, no, not it's and he's just like, you're hitting drums that don't exist. And I'm like, I know, but I don't.
But
your job
still replicate it.
Yes, make it happen.
It's your fucking problem to figure it out. Stop saying things. Just do it.
Yeah.
So this has turned into one of my favorite questions, and it's something I try to say for last. And again, based on how long we've already gone, I'm going to go ahead and make it the last one before we round into the dumb stuff to end this thing. Like any of it's been smart previously. When someone at work or family or whatever finds out that you're in a band, how do you describe the band to them?
I love that question. What a good question, because man, what a real thing. So I got a new job in 2020. I was a crazy person, and COVID. I had my final interview for this new job in. I had my final job in, or my final interview for my new job was March, like 12th, 2020. And I, met my, at that time, like big boss by doing the elbow bump. I went, bloop. And so I ended up starting in July. And so in the onboarding, they're like, tell us fun facts. And they're like, oh, they asked that. They go, well, what kind of band do you play in? And I'm sitting there, I'm like, well, I can't tell them I play in a depressive, suicidal stoner doom band. That'll probably not go over well. So I always have described us as Black Sabbath, but sadder and madder. And usually people get it and they don't ask any follow-up questions. They're like, all right, cool. I can think of Black Sabbath and I can think of them sadder and madder. And then they go about their day. So that's my, has been my go-to since 2020.
Sadder and madder.
Yep.
Perfect. Round this into the stupid fire questions and then the actual end of this.
All right, I'm ready. Stupid fire.
I believe that this first one is an easy one. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
What's something you could eat for a week straight?
Pizza.
Beatles or Stones?
Beatles.
I always have a problem with that answer, but
damn. Well, why?
Because I like the Stones more.
I mean, it's fair, but
the justification for the Beatles. Like, if anybody bothers with talking through why it's the Beatles, I always have to say, all right, I got it. But you give me
You like what you like, you know.
you give me 3 blinks and I'm back to the Stones.
That's fair. Stones have just never clicked for me. And I mean, obviously, I won't justify too much, but yeah, like if you're asking Beatles or Stones, you have, oh hey, the Beatles existed for what, 5 years, and it's just like banger, 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 banger. And then the Stones, it's like, well, hey, we've existed for 60 years, and there's a lot of time to fill, and you're like, all right.
And that is the inarguable, solid fucking slam of the gavel. In that the Beatles had like what, 6 albums. The Stones have had 6 fucking lifetimes, and there's a lot of junk in there.
Yeah.
But when they're good, they're fucking. Anyways, if you had to compare your music to an animal, what would it be?
Warthog.
Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense there with the boar, the warthog, everything.
Yeah.
If you could ask one animal one question, what's the animal? What's the question?
I'd ask a warthog, what's it like just, existing? What's it like being all warty and wallowing in the mud?
All warty and wallowing.
Yeah.
Candy corn, yay or nay?
Nay.
Man, I liked you so much leading up to these.
Sorry, man. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It's. I ate too much of it one year, and it just upset my tummy. And ever since, anytime I eat it, I just get flashbacks to that experience of like, ew, too much, and it just doesn't.
I've done the same thing, but that's why I go back to it. Oh yeah, remember that one time I ate too much? You just eat less of it.
That's fair.
Beer or liquor?
Beer.
I'm gonna try to catch you with a fastball here. What's the capital of New York?
Oh, it's not New York City. It's like Rochester.
Albany. If I can get the point of this question across,
oh boy,
it's a lot of fun.
Okay.
I'm saying this because I've had a lot of shots and not fucking done it right.
Okay.
If you had a lame superpower, what would it be?
Oh, if you had a lame superpower.
A mundane superpower.
Yeah, a mundane. Like, I would love the superpower of being able to turn water into other liquids.
Okay, sure. I can go with that. Scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at keeping secrets?
Terrible. Actually, so not 0, but like, I'd say like 3 or 4. I love the sauce. I love the goss. I love the juice. Give me the tea. I love that shit. But then I'm like, let me go to my closest friends and wife and be like, hey, did you hear about this thing? And it's like, I'm not doing it to random people, but I'm definitely doing it to like my closest homies and my wife. Cause like, it's just how it goes, right? It's like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
But yes. So just based on that, I'm pretty bad.
This is another one this is a newer one. And I think there's fun in it, but I'm not sure how to ask it just yet.
Okay.
What's your favorite cleaned up swear word or phrase? And for me, the example is shut the front door.
Shut the front door. But yeah, so what's your favorite good place swear then, right? That's the that's the thing. Yeah, shut the front door is pretty good. I'm a big shirt and Frank. What the Frank's going on here? Big fan of those, and shirt is the easy one. Yeah, shut the front door is pretty good. Yeah, I'd say what the Frank. Big fan of those.
I've never fucking heard what the Frank before, and you can bet your face I'm gonna steal that from you. I'll give you credit for it the first time you use it. After that, it's mine.
That's good. That's fair. It's ours.
What's your go-to karaoke song?
Ooh, man. I wouldn't say it's my go-to, but we were on a cruise last year. We did an Alaska cruise as a vacation. And I did our cup. I did Tush by ZZ Top and everything like that. That was interesting. Although I totally forgot that solo goes on forever and it's not cut in that karaoke. So you're just kind of standing there while there's a karaoke guitar solo happening. You're like, well, this is boring. If it's not that, then if we're talking Disney, it would be Oogie Boogie's song from Nightmare Before Christmas. That song, love it. Great song, great swang. It's a good time. So I would go with those.
There is a solid possibility that the person that I'm about to reference hears this.
Okay.
I'm not going to do them by name. To kind of go back a couple questions there, my mundane superpower would be I want to know what you're listening to. I want to know what you're listening to all the fucking time. And Spotify, if you use the app it's a dead function. You can't really update it. You can't add people or anything. But the app on the computer,
I remember.
You can do that. You can pull things from, and like I've got a list of like 10 or 12 Facebook people where it's still there. I still see what you're listening to.
Yep.
And there's somebody on there that listens to that Nightmare Before Christmas thing a fucking lot. From a band that's been referenced today.
That's funny. I used to, man, I loved that feature because I would use it to find new shit to listen to. I'd go look and be like, all right, what's my buddy Kevin? Yeah, it was awesome. That was a better discovery tool than any of their shit. But yeah, I do miss that function, being like a live a working one.
It's so good.
I will say Discord, because people don't really add each other as friends on there as much, it's harder to use. But like if you're in a Discord channel and people have it set up to share, I will use that as well. You can see what users in Discord are using or listening to on Spotify.
I legit don't know what Discord is. Again, as a 40-something white guy, and through a work function, I was driving around college kids. I hear it too. I don't care.
You know what Slack is?
No, fuck no. I've never even heard of that before. My point is, I've had my kids who are 20 and 24 try to explain Discord to me. Yep. I had these college kids that I was transporting around here for the Ohio State try to explain Discord to me. The more people tell me about it, the less I get.
You know what Microsoft Teams is? You know what Teams is?
Got that one.
Discord is just Teams that's fun.
Okay.
It's Teams that's fun, basically. Like same general gist. You know, obviously the layout's slightly different. And I mean that's what Slack is too. Slack is the same deal. So this Discord is I will say this, Discord is a great tool for interacting with people.
So it's like larger chat rooms.
Yes, larger chat rooms. It's almost like chat rooms with sub chat rooms within them. So yeah, it can get out of hand very quickly, but yeah.
If you'd have told me upon, first cup of coffee today that Discord was finally going to click in for me,
you wouldn't have believed it.
I'm
surprised. I was about to say I'm surprised if your kids are 20 that they weren't able to explain it. But then I remember I'm like, I interact with 20-year-olds every once in a while. I'm actually not terribly surprised they weren't able to describe it in the manner for someone to do it. And
sometimes I see, and I don't know that my kids have ever been referenced on this show before, but today randomly they're going to be referenced multiple times because I referenced them before I even got on the call with you. Sometimes I'll see my one kid's posting on like his Instagram stories and like it just out of fucking weirdness. Like I have no idea what that is.
Heart
emoji.
My mom does that occasionally. She'll ping me, or my dad texted me last night and was like, "Have a good concert tonight," and I was like, "Thanks, Dad. Yes, we'll have a good concert."
Thumbs up, big guy.
It's thumbs up, exactly. I appreciate the expression there.
Sure.
Definitely a good olive branch given recent events for sure. So bless. But yeah, no. So I don't even remember what was the rapid fire question on that one.
I don't think we actually had it. We started with karaoke song.
Yes, karaoke into Spotify listening into you can see what people are listening to in Discord.
Yeah,
done. That was the connective tissue.
You are the king of the stink there. Sausage links or patties?
Oh man, damn, that's a tough one. I'm gonna say patties if only because you can break the patties up easier in your bowl.
Like some sausage biscuits and gravy.
Yeah, patties.
You, Bael of Shi, get sent to a desert island by yourself for the rest of your life. You get to take one album with you. What's the album?
Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd.
My dude.
Yeah.
I had that queued up earlier. I saw that there's a live version from I don't fucking care. I don't understand the vitriol about live albums. I love live albums.
Same. Love it.
I saw that they've released a something recorded from the 70s of them playing that all the way through. I love the Pulse recording of it all the way through.
Yep.
I had it queued up earlier. I went with "Wish You Were Here" because I've noted more than 100 fucking times.
It's like, on any given day it may change or whatnot. But yeah, no. Dark Side is like, and I was just talking with another friend on a different podcast about it, and it's like it feels so rote to pick that one just because it's like it's always on those top lists. But it's like, my guy, it's
perfect.
It's there for a fucking reason. It's like, how did this come together so perfectly? Fuck yeah.
And if you kind of move out from that and actually look at Floyd's discography, there's plenty of argument to be had here, and I'm completely opening myself up to it. But they've only got like, I don't know, 4 fucking great albums.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
It seems like to look at it, you think they've got 100. No, there's the 80s stuff that admittedly I do like, but I'm not going to put it on the fucking great spectrum.
Yep.
To do "Wish You Were Here" and "Dark Side" back to back is a fucking feat that nobody is ever going to touch.
Yeah, it's
let alone if you're throwing fucking animals.
Yes, it's yeah, boy, what a fucking album. But yeah, easy pick on that one. Yeah, Dark Side.
Yeah,
because then I can use it to go to sleep too. It's probably going to be hard to sleep on that island.
And as you're going fucking nuts by yourself, you get the eclipse thing there at the end, and
yes, it all thematically ties back together.
It all works. At this point, I'd like to say thanks to Bael talking with me today. This has been a lot of fucking fun. The new album, Pure Disgust by Shi. There's the SHI, and then there's the Japanese symbol as well when you're looking for them. Pure Disgust is out now. You should absolutely listen to that motherfucker at max volume immediately. All of their links will be in the show description, as well as the podcast links, Brimming Horn links, Sonic Temple links, all the fun stuff. That's a lot of links. Don't hurt yourself. Be careful. There's a Facebook notification. Give everyone a follow, all that fun stuff. Speaking of fun stuff, hit the old subscribe button for wherever it is that you're listening to this damn thing from. And if you have the opportunity to, wherever that is, give a review or stars or whatever it would be, please and thanks. That's enough for me. I'm going to kick it back over to Bael, who's going to tell us about Pure Disgust and then intro it for us.
Yeah, man. Pure Disgust, the new album just dropped yesterday on November 15th, recorded with Dave Chael here in Louisville, Kentucky, and mixed by him as well, and then mastered by our friend Jason Groves at the Sneak Attack recording studio in Lexington, Kentucky. 12 tracks, newest stuff. I think it's our best stuff to date. Seems like a lot of people would agree with that sentiment. Hope you enjoy it. And yeah, you're about to hear, if I'm to understand correctly, you're going to hear the title track, Pure Disgust. Enjoy it.